This is Secret Mom Hacks, episode 106. My name is Krista, and I'm your host. It's March 26th, 2025, and today's episode is power-packed. We're covering a hot topic today that is relevant to so many of us. We're talking about ADHD, not as a struggle, but as a superpower. And who better to join us than Peter Shankman, a 6-time best-selling author, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and publicity guru who I have followed for years, who has made it his mission to help people see the strengths in neurodiversity. If you've ever felt overwhelmed parenting a child with ADHD, or you're a parent with ADHD yourself, this conversation is going to be a game changer. Peter is the host of Faster Than Normal, the #1 podcast on ADHD, where he helps people harness their faster brains for success. He's also the author of The Boy with the Faster Brain, a best-selling children's book that's helping kids understand that having ADHD or any neurodiverse brain is not a limitation, but a gift. In today's episode, Peter is pulling back the curtain on his own experiences as a parent with ADHD, sharing insights on how to support neurodiverse kids, and giving us an inside look at the inspiration behind his book. So grab your beverage of choice, settle in, and enjoy this empowering conversation with the one and only Peter Shankman. Peter, welcome to Secret Mom Hacks. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I appreciate your time. And I have to kick this off by saying I'm a huge fan. I have Can We Do That? I have customer service, new rules for a social media world.
Back in the day, yeah.
Being a publicist, being one of the very first folks to jump on, help a reporter out back in its first iteration. I am such a huge fan of yours, and it means a lot that you took time to jump on here with us today to talk about a key topic, of course, but just have to share that I am fangirling.
I love it. Well, I hope that you're on Source of Sources as well.
I am. And I tell all of my publicist friends to join as well. It's been such a valuable resource.
Love it.
You know, dads can learn from moms can learn from this is all, we're on this journey together. But Peter, you have been open about your journey with ADHD, which I appreciate and admire. My husband has ADHD, and I often say that parenting is the most rewarding yet difficult job any of us will ever have, and just raising our tiny humans. So tell us what it's like parenting when you as the parent have ADHD.
Well, I mean, there are a couple of different descriptions of it. The first one I give is that parenting on ADHD, my daughter's name is Jessa, and I'm a single dad. I should preface that too. So she's 11, and I'd say that 50% of parenting an 11-year-old girl when you're on ADHD, or when you are ADHD, is, Jessa, what the hell did you do with my... Never mind, I found it. That's definitely half of it. The other half of it is essentially being an 8-year-old, but with means, right? What do I mean by that? Picked her up from school last May on a random Thursday, start walking to the subway, and she goes, Dad, what are we having for dinner tonight? I said, I don't know. I figure we'll eat on the plane. And she goes, what? I'm like, oh, yeah, my bad. We're going to Paris. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, Taylor Swift is performing on Saturday. I thought you wanted to go see her. And yeah, she lost her shit on the subway, which is awesome. But
Dad of the century right there. Dad of the century.
Oh, yeah, we had an amazing time, and the videos say it all. It was just incredible. So plus I had a shirt that said, it's me. Hi, I'm the dad. It's me. So, I mean, it's interesting because she's a smart kid. When I have ways that I've put into my life that I wrote all about in Faster Than Normal. When that book came out, that was sort of like my Bible. And one of the things I wrote about is that I have to do certain things to make me a better person, to allow me to use my ADHD to my advantage. I have to do certain things that work, right? That make me who I want to be, not who I am. And one of those things is just, super early exercise, right? I was up at 4:15 a.m. this morning, got on the Peloton for an hour and a half, did that, got it done. And here I am without medication, just hi. Okay. having ADHD or having a kid is a huge realization that your ADHD doesn't just affect you, right? You could argue that I should have discovered that when I was married, and I did, and it's part of the reason I'm not married anymore. But when she was 3, I'd been working out like a fiend, and it was a Sunday morning. I'm like, you know what? I just want to sleep in. I slept in until like 7:30, and I woke up, and I'm making coffee, and I'm making some breakfast, and we're eating breakfast. We're talking about what we're going to do during the day and on a Sunday, and she goes, Daddy, did you get on your bicycle today? I said, no, Jess, I slept in. I was really tired. You're not as happy, right? 3 years old. So it makes you aware that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And part of that, ADHD, your actions and what you do to better yourself or not better yourself have an equal opposite reaction as well.
Absolutely. I love that she had that awareness at such a young age to notice that.
Yeah, really smart kids. Too smart for her own good, that's for sure. There have been, Daddy, what does too smart for my own good mean? It means that until you're 5, I technically can drop you to a firehouse and not face charges. But yeah, we've passed those days. So now she's 11 going on 26. You know,
I understand. I have a 6-year-old going on 16. And yeah, I understand. So, okay. So you talked about the Peloton. I know you're really into boxing, or you have been. So what are some maybe other strategies you've developed to balance the demands of parenting and ADHD too?
Definitely exercise, no question about it. But I think a lot of it is the older I get, the more I wind up saying things that are good for me that sound like things I never would have listened to my parents telling me when I was like a kid. I go to sleep early, right? I have a uniform. My closet is actually labeled. It has 2 sides to it, and it's labeled. One side says office/travel, and it's t-shirt or sweatshirt and jeans. The other side says speaking/TV, and it's a button-down shirt, jacket, and jeans. That's it. The suits, the vests, the sweaters, those are all in my daughter's closet. Because if I have to wake up every morning and say, okay, what am I going to wear? Oh my God, that sweater. I remember that sweater. Laura gave me that sweater. God, I wonder how she's doing. I should look her. It's 3 hours later. I'm naked in the living room on Facebook. I haven't left the house. So you put together sort of these life rules that work for you and make life easier for those around you who care about you or who depend on you. My daughter commented a couple of weeks ago. She goes, how come we're never late for school? And of course, I read right between the lines. I'm like, are you late with mom? She's like, every once in a while. I'm like, But, like, we're not late because we have a system in place. And that system is based on time. And God bless the kid. I taught her at a very early age. I'm like, and what do we know about being on time? And she looks at me. She goes, on time is on time. Early is on time is late. I'm like, that's my girl. So, it really is about putting these systems into place when you're ADHD, because it takes nothing at all to go off the rails. There have been, especially when you have a kid who's curious and who asks questions, right? So again, we have ways to handle that. A couple of mornings ago, I was telling her I heard this large explosion. When I woke up in the morning, I looked outside, didn't see anything. Probably a car backfiring or something. She goes, did the sun explode? I'm like, no, pretty sure it didn't. It's right up there. She goes, what happens if the moon explodes? I'm like, well, we're at breakfast. It is now 7:20. We have to leave the house at 7:40. That means we have 10 minutes till you have to get ready. So those 10 minutes, let's look it up. We found a 6-minute video on what happens if the moon explodes. And she learned, and when it ended, we shut it off, and then she went and brushed her teeth, and we left for school. So, it's using technology and using basic old-fashioned systems to get yourself in a position where you understand what's coming next, you understand what you're doing, and you understand why, how things have to happen in order for you to live the life that you want. And it sounds, piece of cake. It's not. It's a bitch, right? And it works. When it works, it's awesome. And there are times it doesn't work. There are times when I know myself. I only have 2 speeds. I have namaste and I'll cut it. There's no middle ground, right? And so there are times when, I go out to dinner and I eat like crap. And the next morning, I'm not going to want to get up and work out. And those are the decision times, right? And I either do it or I don't do it. But either way, I'm still a human being. Life goes on. Cut yourself some slack as well. You're never going to be perfect all the time. God knows. I'm not.
Yeah, sometimes in our household, it'll be like, why are we getting up so early on a school morning? And it's like, because I know how long certain things take. And if we cut that time in half or even by 15 minutes, we will be late to school. So, yes.
And also, a lot of these questions are, there are moments when I want to answer the way I want to answer and understand that I'm not allowed to do that because she's only 11. Daddy, why are we getting up so early? It's a Wednesday. the f- do you think we're getting up so early for? What do you have in 35 minutes downtown? It's like, and we can't say that. So we go, well, honey, you know the rules. Got to get to school.
Just go with me. Just roll with me.
Oh
My goodness. Well, so you're a 6-time best-selling author. I hope I got that number right? 6-time.
You got that right?
6-time best-selling author. Several of your books, which I have and have read, mostly about publicity, marketing, customer service. But most recently, you have branched out into children's literature with The Boy with the Faster Brain. Tell us about that.
So I wanted to write something as a kid for a while, from a kid's perspective. And the reason I wanted to do it is because I wanted to, if I can stop one kid from feeling as broken as I did growing up, then that's a win. My parents always had my back, no question about it, but it was teachers, it was friends, it was students, it was everyone. I was broken. I was told I was broken. Just, Peter, just sit down. I had a teacher who told me, why don't you, Peter, you're asking a lot of questions. Why don't you just go in the back and relax? Why don't you try to sleep? Or I was disrupting. I was never, my report card was constantly, Peter, he's a good student, but needs to be quiet in class, disrupts the class. Peter is the class clown, attempts to be the class clown. And we didn't realize back in the 80s, because ADHD didn't exist. What existed was sit down, you're disrupting the class. What I learned later on was that it was me trying to find some dopamine, right? So I could sit down and focus. And most people can just produce it on demand. People with ADHD or other forms of neurodiversity can't. And so they have to find other ways. And when you're 11 years old and you realize you can make people laugh, and you make them laugh one time and you get that high, you want to do it again. So I was trying to learn by getting people to crack up, which would give me the dopamine so I could focus. But of course it never happened because I'd make people crack up in the class and I could send to the principal's office. So, it was sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that regard. But yeah, it was definitely, I wanted kids to understand that they're not alone, that they're actually gifted, that their brains are amazing as long as they work really hard at producing things the right way. Right. And that it doesn't mean they're broken. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with them.
And the main character embraces his faster brain. I'm curious how much of this character is based on your own experiences and what parts reflect what you wish you'd known as a child.
Well, it was definitely based on my own experience as a kid, getting in trouble all the time. Again, I wasn't diagnosed in my late 30s. It didn't really become a thing till my late 30s. So for me, it was really about getting that and learning that, right, and understanding that. And so the part where he goes into therapy and gets DBT help and things like that, that was never me as a kid. And I love the fact that they can do that now.
And the book encourages children to view their ADHD as a superpower.
Yep.
Can you share some examples of how you have seen that play out in your own life?
Yeah, in my life, everything I've done has started with an idea of, I wonder what would happen if, and then, it's like those scenes in the 80s sitcoms where they go, God, it's not like I'd ever do that. And they look down and they're doing it. Right. That's literally how I've started every company. I wonder what happened if I did. Well, okay, here we are 3 months in and it's generating revenue. SOS, Source of Sources, came about because I watched it and kept screwing up Harrow, and I'm like, I don't want to redo this. I don't want to do it again. You can't go home again. And we have 30,000 members. It was so there you are. Right. So it really comes down to being able to create and not caring so much what happens. What's the worst can happen? It doesn't work. You can do something else.
How do you communicate with your daughter about ADHD?
She knows 100%. She knows 100% what her dad is. Mm-hmm. And she is very much probably ADHD as well. There's no question about it. I see it in her. I see her doing the same things I did as a kid. Difference is we have the ability to handle it better now. She's in therapy. If need be, we can put her on medication. I'm not a huge fan of med. Look, I have a prescription. I take it maybe twice a month. I take it when my assistant puts literally on my calendar. She tries to schedule all my meetings for 2 days a month, like 2 long days a month. So I'll have like 4 or 5 meetings in one day. And she'll literally put pill day on the calendar. Most of the days I can get away with a couple of hours on the bike and I'm good. When she puts pill day, I wake up at 4 a.m. I take the pill. And because if I take anything later than 4 a.m., I'm up all night. So taking it at 4 a.m., that lets me stay up the night and work and get, stay up the day and get stuff done and focus. But yes, I'm not anti-med. I just think there are other lines of defense as well. Everything from things that work for me. And I'm not a doctor, right? I've never claimed to be one, but more protein, fewer carbs helps me all the time. When I eat like shit, I feel like shit.
Mm-hmm. My husband, when we first started dating, when we'd gotten in a more serious relationship, we were sharing a calendar, or I'd send him a calendar invite and he was like, that is the sexiest thing you could do. Send me a calendar invite. Because we both kind of live and die by our calendar. If it's not on the calendar, don't expect me to just have it in my head.
I've been with my partner for 5 years now. She agrees 100%. She knows that if it's not in the calendar, I'm not going to do it. My assistant took write access to my calendar away from me about 15 or so years ago because I go to schedule something and I can't do it. I'm like, Megan, something's wrong with the calendar. She's like, no, actually, the calendar works fine. I just took access. If you want to do something, you ask me first. I'm like, that's really rude. You've been working with me for 6 months. That's a bit of a stretch. She goes, well, Peter, here's the thing. You booked 2 dinners for next Friday, and they're both on the same night. I'm like, all right, that's not that big of a deal. I really think you're overreacting. She goes, well, yeah, but you booked them on separate continents, so you're done. And that was the last time I had access to my calendar. And it was literally the best thing she ever could have done. She runs the calendar now. If I want to do something, I forward it to her. She says yes or no. And it's not like me needing people, right? I'm like, oh, call my people. No, it's like, you want to meet me? Give it to her. You're not going to meet me, right? It's not because I don't want to meet you. It's because I literally forget, see something shiny, and yeah.
Hashtag Google Calendar.
100%.
Also, shout out to Megan. She was awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Megan, for making all of this happen. Well, looking ahead, Peter, can you share any future plans or additional resources to further support children and families navigating ADHD? I know it's an in-demand topic, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of episodes on that on the podcast at fasterthannormal.com. We have over 300 episodes, and a bunch of them are about episode 100 is actually me interviewing my parents. I strongly recommend to listen to that because it's one of those things that I just try to get to the basic question of why the hell didn't you drop me off a cliff when I was 4 like they did in the movie 300? And they're like, well, we just kept loving you, And I'm like, oh. But yeah, I've done a lot of that. I have I'm working on a girls version with a couple of women who are helping me out with that. So yeah, things are moving.
What is the ultimate lesson or message takeaway you are hoping parents walk away with from today's conversation?
Your child is gifted, not broken. And when they finally figure out how to use their faster brain, they're going to change the world.
And what's something I didn't ask you that you wish I did?
I guess he went inside. I was going to show you a picture of Waffle, the Wonder Mutt, and the rescue dog that I didn't want. And you could ask me how come he never actually gets off the couch. But of course, this one time he's not on the couch. This was the dog that when you're a single dad, you tend to compromise. I didn't want a dog. My daughter wanted a dog. So we compromised and, got a dog. So he's a rescue from best friends. He's now 4 years old and he's a good boy.
I love that. Okay. Well, is he on socials? Do you have pictures I can include in the
Waffle the dog? I'm sorry. Peter's dog Waffle. That's
Peter's dog Waffle. Okay. I will include links to those episodes you mentioned from your podcast in the show notes for this episode. I'll also find a picture to put in the corresponding blog post with this. But this was so fun.
I had a blast. Thank you so much.
Well, that's a wrap for today's conversation with Peter. You can find links to his social platforms, books, including The Boy with the Faster Brain, and his incredible podcast in today's show notes at secretmomhacks.com/episode 106. I'm curious what your favorite part of our interview was. I hope you're walking away inspired with tips either for yourself or a mom friend. If that's the case, please follow me on your favorite podcast platform if you haven't already. Give me a 5-star rating and leave a review sharing your favorite takeaway so far. You can do all of that by going to ratethispodcast.com/secretmomhacks. Don't forget to stop by secretmomhacks.com where you can find resources and enter your email address so every new show is delivered straight to your inbox. Stay tuned for next week's episode, and until then, you've got this, mama.